Dr. T here, and we're going to do another upgrade today that's going to be really worth millions of dollars to you over the course of your lifetime. And if you pass this on to your heirs, if you have them, it has the potential to be worth millions and millions and millions of dollars over the course of multiple generations. So, what we're looking at today is this concept and this reality and this thing that happens to people where they are struggling with avoidance and with avoiding things, or as people refer to this as procrastination, but as really struggling with avoiding the very things that you need to do, the very things that you might actually really want to do, and things that are really, really important to do, and how we can make a shift in this. So I just like to do this upgrade and do upgrades by allowing to come on in what wants to be shared with us. And one of the things to understand is that avoidance that ends up resulting in effectively procrastination, right? Which these are really two sides of the same coin. Typically, if you have this as a problem that you're dealing with, it is because you likely come from a family system or some kind of system that you've been in. Could have been a partnership, could have been a type of relationship, could have been a type of company. But somewhere along the line, and it typically does happen in our earliest and most base foundational relationships, which are often with family members, where families have an avoidant process that they do in order to not deal with things that are uncomfortable, difficult, full of things that are full of tension, create tension, and things that also people just don't feel equipped to deal with. And so, avoidance, which is one of the attachment styles in attachment theory, it's a theory in psychology about our different relationship styles and dynamics. And all people have different types of attachment. We either have a secure attachment, an anxious attachment, or avoidant attachment. And in certain families, there can be an avoidant process, relational dynamic, and way of being. And I think this, unfortunately, is rampant in many families where the way of dealing with things is to not deal with them. And that avoidance pattern just gets cemented in, it gets fixed into people's programming. And as we do in life, or we're running a business, there is no separation. I mean, people say this is your personal life, professional life. It's all one thing. If you've got an avoidance pattern in your family system, you'll have one in your business, you'll have one in your different aspects of your life. So, avoidance is a process. It is quite honestly a trauma response to dealing with difficult things that feel overwhelming to people, that feel traumatic to people, or just feel downright uncomfortable to people, or feel like it creates tension. So if you've got anywhere, let's just say for simplicity's sake, in your family system that once was, or perhaps still is, because most families kind of just carry on the same dynamics year after year, decade after decade. If you've got where people are avoiding rather than being very direct and tackling things directly and communicating directly and navigating through things directly and facing things head on, addressing them, orchestrating with them, navigating with them, and most importantly, upgrading things that need attention. If you've got something less than that process happening, or you grew up with it, or you're still dealing with it, where you're in that family system or you're in some kind of relationship where the strategy that is the overriding strategy of someone or a group is to avoid things, and then everybody's just like pretending that they don't exist, then you could actually end up with a lifelong avoidance slash procrastination pattern. And the challenge with this is that this will cost people millions of dollars in their lifetime. And if it's carried on generation after generation, which it typically is, it will cost millions and millions of dollars over the course of many generations. And this is because when people feel something that they feel overwhelmed by, there's some sort of a trauma response triggered. And in trauma, something difficult, uncomfortable, overwhelming, painful, and someone's perception of it or the group's perception, we either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, which means that people either run away from it, which is avoidance, procrastination, as a strategy, because that was a survival strategy for eons. I got to run away from it. Something's difficult, something's dangerous. Or they fight, and that's typically families and relationships that have anxious attachments where people respond in anxiety and react and fight. And then there is freeze, which is another facet to the avoidance pattern where it's just like, I'm just frozen. I'm not dealing with anything. And then there is the fawning, which is to respond by being overly nice as a strategy for dealing with the discomfort, the danger, the challenge. So if you have this avoidant pattern anywhere in your reality, anywhere in the system of your reality, say you've got a brother that's still doing that, or a sister, or a father, or a mother, or partner. If there is avoidant relational dynamics, then you will have those same dynamics with very important things that you need to deal with or things that are perceived as difficult. And it's like infectious. If you're experiencing this with people, even if you strive constantly to do it differently and face things head on, if you participate in those things and allow those dynamics and continue them on because you're so used to them for years and years and years in these relationships, then you will end up likely having that show up in avoidance slash procrastination patterns. And this will make you avoidant in things that are really important to deal with. It will cost you the bandwidth of the fact that you need to deal with them. You'll be holding on to them, which is one of the most worst parts about it. And things won't get done that need to get done that are important value and create value and support you. And I want to say one of the most difficult costs that comes with this and why we want to make this shift, which we're going to talk about making this shift to something else. One of the worst parts about it is the fact that when there is a program running where, say, it's your family or company or partnership or wherever these dynamics are, or you with you, because you absorbed this from somewhere, you picked this up from somewhere, you've got someone in your life that you're interacting with that does this kind of thing. The problem with avoidance is not just that you're losing out on what you would have gained by taking care of business, so to speak, and addressing things and upgrading them. But it's another cost that I really want to point out to you so that you can make this shift, which is that if you hold on, if you do the avoidance, then you end up holding on to the dang thing that's difficult, uncomfortable, maybe feels like overwhelming, tense, maybe even has a weird feeling like it's dangerous or something that just is that response, that primal traumatic response. Like, it's just too much. I don't want to deal with it. I'm avoiding. I'm doing something else. Problem is, you will continue to retain the weight of that issue and you will think about it a gazillion times. And the worst part about that is not only does it not get done and you don't get the upgrade and the value from taking care of business, but you then get programmed for more avoidance. Because remember, the avoidance program is running you. That's why you go to do something, you intend to do something, and then you just end up in the avoidance pattern. And so it just keeps sitting with you, this thing that needs to get done, whatever it is. Garage needs to be clean, expense reports are due, taxes are due, whatever it is. You will end up carrying the weight of it, and you will end up getting more and more programmed for more and more avoidance. And depending on what it is, say it's a difficult conversation that you need to have, or it's going to be difficult for someone else. That's an example I hear a lot. And you're holding on to that thing. And the issue remains unaddressed, unresolved, outstanding, impacting you, your company, your family, whatever it is. You're going to keep programming that difficulty and that pain and that struggle and that challenge. And you're going to program the weight that is on you. And it's going to keep taking your life force, your energy. It's going to keep draining you. And it's going to keep programming you for the same kind of difficulties. So the only way we shift into a new program where now we want a new type of reality, which is that when things need to be addressed, they get addressed immediately, they get addressed wholeheartedly, they get addressed concretely, definitively, and easily. And that this becomes a way of life, right? Because that's a whole different type of reality. So, but we can say that all day long and still end up really meaning to take care of something, and then ending up where that thing keeps running you and you just can't get shit done. And so it's going to take an understanding of this as a program that is running you, keeping you from doing what it is that's essential for you and would be beneficial for you and be high value for you and return an ROI for you and upgrade your reality, help make you healthy, wealthy, all of that. The program, the pattern, as it were, is running you instead of you being able to have an intention, fulfill it, and create a new reality, which is the opposite of an avoidance pattern. And that happens from a place of more of being in people who are able to do that. The data tells us, the research tells us that these were people that were in secure attachment dynamics and relationships in their upbringing, where the primary caregivers were neither anxious or avoidant. It was a secure attachment. Things got handled directly from a place of security, intentionality. And then that created more and more security, right? The security created more and more security. And so this is a very big shift because avoidant attachment styles are rampant. And we are in a culture, especially in American culture. It's different in other places that are more direct, where things are just avoidant. And a bunch of stuff goes on, like kissing ass and pretending and acting and stuff like that amongst each other in these relationships. And the challenge with that is then you literally become programmed to avoid. And if you become programmed to avoid, then you're also unfortunately going to be avoiding all of the amazing things that are trying to happen for you. You're going to be an avoidant person rather than a secure, receptive person. And these are two different worlds. If you're a secure, receptive person who can be aware that there's an upgrade that you need to make, something to address, something to upgrade in yourself, something to upgrade in your relationship or your business. And you can then move in the direction of that intention. Now you've got a whole entirely different life. And yet, I'm going to be really clear. Some would say that you can't overcome it, but I always believe that you can. And that happens by making this specific shift, which is that you get clear about what your intentions are. And you have a way that your intentions and what you're going toward in life are already made clear. They're in a document, they're in a Slack channel, they're in they're in some form where this is all of the outcomes, incomes, the reality that is being intended. And it could be happy, healthy, wealthy, uh, multiple seven-figure business, amazing power couple partnership, amazing dynasty family, and incredible business empire, all while having fun and sipping Mai Tais on the beach. Whatever the reality is that you're going toward, it needs to be held sacred. So we know this is the map that we're navigating to. And that way, when you experience these dynamics, you can be aware that that's just the pattern running, but you have an intention and you can just move in the direction of the intention. And no matter what you feel like or how much this pattern has a hold of you, you can absolutely will yourself to those intentions because you don't have to keep assessing, well, if I feel this way, should I do this or should I do this? Whatever the intentions are, you take a look at that and you go, this is the map I'm going to. So if I have this map, then that means I step in this direction. If I have this map and I avoid, I'm stepping away from it. And you won't really know that when you're doing it because you'll think, well, this is a priority right now instead of this. And you'll put something else, you'll procrastinate by putting something else in its place. But if you have the clarity of let's call it your constitution, this is what it is. Your reality is like, we the people, in order to da 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 da, like whatever the reality is that you're going for. When you have that, then you can just connect with that, do a quick review and go, this is what moves me in that direction. So that you have that intention, the larger intention, not just the thing, am I going to do this task or not do this task? Am I going to do this conversation or not do this conversation? But the larger reality is what you look at. It's going to give you energy. It's going to bring you toward it. And it's going to keep moving you in that direction. But without that thing that says, this is where I'm heading to, you can keep avoiding shit all the time and replacing it with something else. And you can spend a lifetime of that. And the longer it goes on, the better you get at it. So you want to make a shift ASAP. So my invitation is for you to get clear about the reality. Write it down. Whatever you do, if you write it, type it in a Google Doc, type it in your Slack channel. That's what I do. This is the reality I'm going toward. And so then all tasks, actions, behaviors move toward that rather than the feeling you're having taking you in some direction or the other. It's about the intentions pulling you toward that. So you shift from being an avoider to being a doer, from being an avoider to being a creator, and from being an avoider to being a top reality maker. And that is my invitation for you. All right. So I'm really excited for all of you to get this upgrade. It's a key one. It's one of the most important ones, if not the most important one you could do in your lifetime. And I'm looking forward to you having that thing to map to, that set of intentions that you're going towards. So you always know, am I on track? Am I off track? And how to get right on track again. And this is a game changer for you. So intentions are what you want to drive your reality, not your emotions and feelings. Your intentions are what you want to create your reality. So let's get you to make your reality out of your intentions and become a top reality making mogul, creating things and creating all your great, amazing creations. Okay, everyone, thanks for taking this upgrade in. Thanks for becoming more of your mogul self where you can steward your reality the way that you want to. Thanks for making a shift, because when one person makes it, the whole flow of our entire collective reality starts to go forward in an easier way for everyone. Because if everybody's taking care of business, and then we feel more of that flow. But if a bunch of people are avoiding, we feel the avoidance and we can all get infected by it. It's like type of a viral thing. So let's have some nice viral creation. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.